Television Network, TSPN. And now back to Today's Seniors Living Well with your host, Laurie Webb.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Today's Seniors Living Well. Aging Shouldn't Be a Puzzle. This is the 6th series, and this is the 5th show. And today we were focusing on some preventative aspects of dealing with aging. One of my favorite segments of this series has been this 3rd segment in which we've interviewed 4 and now a 5th very active senior of certain decades. We had, as you might remember last year, our 105-year-old man on. We thought that was such fun that we have been talking to some people not quite that old. And I brought some See's candy to show because these are gifts that you can buy for your teachers, and my guest was a teacher. Right, yes, Thelma?
Yes.
This is Thelma Clancy, and Thelma is one of the most active seniors I know. We've been involved with stuff together for what? 10, 15 years?
At least, I think. Yeah. Yes, at least 15.
Yeah. So how long have you lived here in Amador County?
Well, we bought property here in 1968, but we did not move up here until 1985.
Uh-huh.
And moved into our house in 1987.
Mm-hmm. And I've been to your house. It's a beautiful house on a beautiful piece of property.
Well, thank you.
Kind of far out there, though.
Yes, a little bit isolated.
But yes, we'll talk about that later. You've managed to really get involved in the community, though, Thelma. Now, I know you're involved with the Sierra Madre Garden Club,
mm-hmm.
and you've been on the Commission on Aging for a very long time.
Yes, I think since about 2000.
2000, right. And you're also involved in the Isolated Seniors Committee.
Yes.
And what other things do you keep busy with?
Well, I belong to the Progressive Women's Club and to a Sunday focus group, meets every other Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's about the extent of the organizations I belong to.
Well, when I first met you and saw how involved you were with the Garden Club, you were in charge of the flower show for a few years.
Well, not the flower show in its entirety, but the decoration for the theme decorations. Mm-hmm, yes, mm-hmm. And I enjoyed that. It was very
and that was always such an amazing project.
Well, thank you.
So it's something that you feel is important to stay involved in the community, right?
Oh, yes. It's life-saving. If you just stay at home and do nothing, you don't do that for very long.
Right. You get kind of withdrawn and...
Yes.
Yeah. And one of the projects that you and I have worked a lot on is the Isolated Seniors Project. Maybe you could just kind of go over the history of how we got started doing that, starting with the incident that kind of prompted our concern.
Well, I was concerned about a lady who was supposed to meet me for my Sunday focus group, and she didn't show up at my gate. And when I decided that I'd go to her house and see if she was okay. And the house was locked, and she didn't respond, and so I went home and called 911, and I mistakenly believed this was going to be an emergency, but it was treated as a welfare, I guess, cost.
A welfare check, right.
And the officers didn't get into her house until 4 hours later, and I thought that was too long. And so there was quite a bit of controversy about that, and as a result of that, the commission started an Isolated Seniors Committee.
Right, and we had a public hearing that resulted in Sheriff Ryan was here last week, and we talked about the Hidden Key project.
And that was his response for this Hidden Key project, which is for everybody, but primarily for seniors, so that if there is an emergency and the deputies come to your house, You can hide a key, tell them where it is, or give them a key so that they can get into the house.
Yeah, he explained last week about all the difficulty. They
Yes.
can't just bust down the door.
Yes.
So the isolated seniors then kind of grew out of that.
Yes, and that's an interesting group of people from various county agencies that do services for seniors, and it's an interesting group, and it's a way of keeping in touch with what's going on around the county.
And we meet once a month. Now, you yourself would qualify as an isolated senior.
Yes, I think so.
What kind of precautions do you take to make sure that you're safe where you live?
Well, probably not as many as I should. I don't think about it a lot, but
Because you're here so much.
well, I do try to keep up with contacts out of my home. But other than that, and hanging on to handrails when I go up and downstairs, I don't do a great deal.
Well, you have managed to stay independent for a pretty long time. And
Yes.
I think part of it, in watching you and other older people, I think part of it is that maintaining an active engagement in the community.
Yes.
Not only does it help people keep track of where you are, because let me tell you, when you don't show up on time for the isolated seniors, people are like, well, where's Thelma? Something wrong. Did Thelma say she was going to be late? So
Well, I
people
think,
are,
yes, people in Amador County are very concerned about each other, I think. If there's, when there are tragedies and so on, the people really come to the fore and try to be helpful.
they do. We
that's,
are a very caring community.
And maybe it's because we're a rather small county that happens, but I think it's a little bit unusual. I don't think it's that way every place.
Yeah, I'm in contact with other rural county senior center directors, and they are in awe of some of the things that we have in place, like the Isolated Seniors Committee. And I should say that the isolated seniors are not all isolated seniors. As Thelma said, they are service providers like myself. Adult Protective Services comes. And part of the offshoot of that was another program that you might want to mention, the Gatekeepers program.
Yes.
We're trying to get that out again.
And that is, excuse me, that is just a kind of like a neighborhood watch, except for more for health issues than criminal. But,
Right. It kind of builds on that, what you talked about, the caring that people
Yes.
show.
we have tried to contact people who service seniors and ask them to be a little bit aware of how the seniors look or feel, and to report anything that's really unusual.
So people like PG&E repair people,
Yes, and
Brought you a
the
little bit of that.
propane deliverers.
propane
and,
delivery, yeah. And we've also reached out to bank clerks
yes,
who are now mandated reporters, which is a good thing if they see any signs of financial abuse. So we're going to try, we have information about the Gatekeeper program at the center.
Yes.
And we try to get information about that out.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm not going to say how old you are, but you've stayed
that's
pretty
all right.
healthy.
yes.
And what do you think is an important thing for staying physically healthy?
Well, probably keep moving and maintain interest in as many things as you can.
And keeping moving.
I think you need some space in between. I like to sort of have a little home time between meetings. I need it because contacts with other people are they're very stimulating, but they're also kind of wearing when you get to be 94.
94. Okay, there we have. She's 94.
So,
So a balance
Yes,
of social time and
And
personal
of course, before I got to be to this age, I was very active physically. I did gardening and carpentry and things like that.
Carpentry, I didn't know that.
And but now I do a lot of resting, and I do innumerable crosswords and Sudokus and computer solitaire.
So you
and I read a lot.
Computer solitaire, wow.
Yes.
Now, do you attend the Volcano Foothill Fitness?
I did.
Uh-huh.
I did until my arms wore out.
Oh, gee, I didn't think it was that. But I think you do keep pretty physically active you still do some stuff around your property, right? A little bit.
I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Yes.
You
I have help now that I
oh, good. So
didn't have for years.
You're one of these people that's smart enough to stay independent by realizing that sometimes in order to stay independent, you got to get a little help.
That's right.
And I think that's one of the biggest challenges for older people to be able to admit sometimes they need a little help.
I think it is a ideal of the commission to try and keep people in their homes as long as they can, but we also need to make sure there are plenty of services for those people who become unable to take care of themselves.
Right. And the commission meets on the third Wednesday of the month, which is next week. Well, Thelma, you're still teaching us. Have an apple for my teacher. Got to go to break.
Oh, well,
Stay
thank
tuned.
you.
We'll be right back.
You're watching Amador County's local television network, TSPN.